G'day everyone. I was kind of tagged a while ago, a few weeks ago actually, by a couple of people. Actually I was asked by a couple of people to do the Meet the Bushcrafter. Just to tell everyone just a little bit about myself. And go away. Sorry about that. Yeah, just to explain a little bit about how I got into bushcraft and wilderness survival and all that. Basically, my story starts probably back in the late 70s. I was living in a small town in Denmark, and a couple of my friends were scouts, and they kind of got me interested in it, camping and woodwork and playing with knives as kids do, but back then it was a lot more innocent than it is today. Nowadays if you catch kids playing with knives, it's usually for all the wrong reasons, but back then all my friends and I, we all used to carry a knife, because we used to play out in the woods, and we used to carve and whittle and build little cubby houses and shelters and stuff. So it was actually normal for kids to carry a pocket knife, because we weren't using it to mug people or anything like that. We were using it the way they were meant to be used. They're knives and they are tools. That's basically what it is. I've actually still got one of my first pocket knives, and I'll show it to you. Hold on, I'll just get it. Okay, right, as you know, nowadays the variety of knives is absolutely huge. It's it is unbelievable what you can get nowadays. These are two knives that I made myself, and they are they are a perfect example of some of the custom and more expensive bushcraft knives nowadays. You got a couple of halter here. You've got a backhoe, work tool type of knife that you've all seen me do a review on, and you've got the frost moorers. Now these are the ones that you purchase at quite a reasonable cheap price, and these are the more expensive end of the market. But I didn't have any of these sort of tools when I was growing up. I did have the original Scout version of the Moorer, the Frost Moorer. But I have no idea what's happened to that over the years. As you can see, the variety is quite extensive, and these are the very basic of the knives that you can get nowadays. Now, I didn't have any access to these when I was a kid. Like I said, I did have the Scout version of the Moorer, but only got that towards the last few years. And holy cow, that needs a clean. The brass needs a polish. But what I did have, and which I still have, is my little folding knife. Hang on a second. After many years of this being lost in a box somewhere, I found it probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And this is just a little snap friction lock folding blade. No actual lock on it. Basic wood handle scales and just a little blade. And just a little tiny loop at the end, just for attaching a string or something like that. That was my first pocket knife. Now, how I got into bushcraft, my friends were involved in the Scouts and that sort of piqued my interest. Sorry about that, guys, I just got interrupted by a truck coming in. Okay, now where was I? Oh yeah, late 70s. My friends were in the Scouts and I used to hang out with them quite a bit, so I learnt a lot from them. They got me interested in basic bushcraft and scouting and all that sort of stuff at the time. And yeah, basically I learned a lot from them. But in 1982, just so you know, I was actually born in Wales, and we moved from Wales to Ireland, and then from Ireland to Denmark. And then in 1982 we moved to Australia, and it was within a short period of time in Australia, I started watching this TV program that I found. It was Les Hiddens, the Bush Tucker Man. He had his own TV series, and he's a major in the Australian Army, and he used to travel around Australia, and especially northern parts of Australia, learning all about bush tuckers and knowing how to survive in the wild by finding bush foods. And see what I mean? Needs it clean. It's been sitting in his pouch for quite a while. And by watching Les Hiddens, I actually got interested in wilderness survival. And wouldn't you know it, another truck is coming in. It's been quiet for 2 hours, absolutely nothing. As soon as I start recording, trucks arrive and depart. Yeah, so Les Hiddens got me interested in bush foods and surviving in the wild by eating what's around you. And I watched every episode I could. I used to record it on a video recorder, and I used to just watch the episodes over and over again until I wore out the tape. And eventually life moved on, and I moved out, got my own place and all that sort of stuff, and there was a big gap of several years where yeah, I was more interested in other things. Then one day I saw something called Wild Tracks or something like that. It was a short 10-minute segment by a guy in England called Ray Mears, and he used to do this little segment of wild edibles, and it was in the UK, and yep, that piqued my interest again. So Les Hiddens got me started, and I learnt a lot from him, and Ray Mears got me back into it, and pretty much that's the story. That's how I got into bushcraft and wilderness survival, and I'm sure it's the same all around the world, and with most of the bushcrafters around the world, there's someone out there who introduced them to it. I doubt very much that there's anyone who just oh, I'll just go out and see what I can find out in the wild that I can eat. That sort of doesn't happen. Someone introduces you. For me, it was two celebrities that really got me going, but to start off with, it was a couple of my friends back in the late 70s who were scouts, and I used to hang out with them out in the woods, and we used to carry a little pocket knives, and I had my scout version of the Mora, which is a wooden handle and a full cross guard. Come up about that high, went down about that low, and I don't know where it is, but I'll insert a picture of it. I found a picture on the internet that looks exactly like it. If I didn't know any better, I'd swear this is my actual knife. But this is what it looks like, guys. This is the first fixed blade that I ever had, and it came with the leather sheath, with the metal studs and the metal edge protector down the side. And now I've got these. Well, these. This is one I bought just a few weeks ago for $11. This is one that was sent to me by a street artist, and this has even got little measurements on the blade. And yeah, the tool, the workman tool, and Philip sent me these for the bushcraft challenge. Those are prizes, and I made this, and after I made this one. But wilderness survival, it's not everything that people think it is. Nowadays you say wilderness survival and people think, oh yeah, you know, going out doing a Rambo thing and surviving out in the wilds and running around with a knife or a machete, chopping things down, and you know, living quite like a modern day Neanderthal, but that's not what it is. I also think of wilderness survival as modern day preparedness for emergency situations, and there's a lot of that happening here in Australia now, especially here in Queensland and New South Wales, because of the flooding that we had over the last few years. There's even government paid advertisements on TV telling people, you know, how long could your family last if there was a natural disaster. You know, the advert on TV basically asks you, you know, if there was a natural disaster, could you survive for 3 days with the products and items that you have in your house? And until recently, most people will say no, because you know everything that they have in the house requires refrigeration, and the only batteries that have in the house would mostly be for, you know, the PSP, the Nintendos, or the remote controls. Now I'd say there's a greater percentage of people who would be able to survive a natural disaster for 3 days, because they've been instructed to go out and buy canned food and dried food that doesn't need refrigeration, that will sustain your family for 3 days, and also buy extra candles and extra batteries for your flashlights. And it's basically, it all comes down to wilderness survival being one of the main topics that introduced people to being aware of their surroundings and carrying things, or having things like this at home. A flashlight, good quality waterproof flashlight. You know, not necessarily being able to make tools or utensils out of wood. That's more of a hobby, I'd say. It's a good skill to know, but being able to say that, yep, if the power went out and it's not going to be restored for 3 to 4 days, that you've got food that will sustain you and keep you going for those 3 days. Dried food, bottles of fresh drinking water, canned food that that you can pretty much eat straight out of a can, and also having a can opener that does not rely on electricity. It's easy enough to get a can or something and just stick it in an electric can opener and open it, but if there's a power outage, what are you going to do? I personally know that with a knife like this I can open a tin can quite easily, and I've even made a video about it. Not just with a knife like this, but with any one of these pocket knives I can open a steel tin can. It's very simple. Even something like this, it's the weak spot is this pivot point. How many of you can say that you can open a tin can, a sealed tin can, with a small pocket knife? It's a skill worth learning. I'll put the link to my video in the description box. But also my camping equipment. All the camping equipment I've got at the moment, like my axe. This is the only axe that I own. It's not a proper axe that you buy in a hardware shop. This is an old fireman's axe that the spike has actually been cut off. And the reason I did that is because it has this steel neck. Now, in a survival situation, it's great to have an axe, but if the handle breaks, you're going to have to make another one. Easily enough to do if you have a good quality knife. But this one has the steel neck on either side with 2 strong pins going through it. So even if this breaks, I can still actually hold the axe handle, axe neck and the head, and still use it for small jobs. And again, it all comes down to knowing your own personal bushcraft and wilderness survival limitations. Now, I've been playing with axes and knives for, I'd say, 75 to 80% of my life. I remember my first knife that I was playing with, which was this little pocket folder. I think I was about 8 years old when I got it. But what am I doing with my YouTube channel? Well, as you all know, I make knives, and I make knives. I make more knives. What else? I go camping, and when I'm camping I use tools, knives, hatchet, an axe, a saw, folding saw. I use flashlights, so I also do flashlight reviews on my channel when I get something new. I carry pocket knives with me, and my EDC, as you all know, I was actually using this before. My EDC is my little full Niven U2, for which I made a little leather pouch that sits in there, and that goes on to my keys. I carry this with me wherever these keys go. So my bushcraft skills, my leatherwork skills, my wilderness survival skills, my camp craft, my knife making, lead making, I've just said that, even orientation out in the bush. Basically those two friends of mine who were scouts, and they just showed me a few little tricks when we were playing out in the woods, and that led from one thing to another, and I came to Australia and I started watching Les Hidden's TV show Bush Tucker Man, and I learned a lot more from him. And then after that I learned a lot more again from Ray Mears, and then Les Stroud, Dave Canterbury, Cody Lundin, Michael Hawke and his wife Ruth England. There's just so much out there to learn, and it's like a lot of things. The day you say that you've learnt all you can in that particular subject, let's just say I don't believe anybody will ever reach that point. With bushcraft, wilderness survival, campcraft, leathercraft, knife making, it's a constantly evolving subject, and I don't think I'll ever stop learning. I still need to get a spoon carving blade though, because I still want to make some spoons. Oh, one day. And yeah, got a bit sidetracked with the knives and everything, but that gives you a rough idea. Alright, I am going to start to pack up because I've got 2 hours left, and I'm going to watch a bit of film and then go home and sleep, wake up and then edit all of this. So thanks for watching guys, this has been a video with a difference, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Alright, see ya.